Rev your engines and fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey, keeping you up to date on everything going on this season at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Now, here's your host, Dan Bailey.
Welcome, race fans, to the final edition of Thunder Talk for the 2020 season. I'm Dan Bailey. That's right. The 2020 season coming to an end with this week's special event at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, the 9th annual Modified Nationals presented by Dahl, Chevrolet Buick, GMC, and I figured no better way to set the scene for this 3-day event and this final edition for the year of Thunder Talk than by chatting with one of the former champions of the Modified Nationals, and that is driver of the 95X in the Black Horse Bar and Grill USRA B-Mod division from Mississippi Thunder Speedway, former track champion Shaun Walski. Shaun, first of all, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us this week.
Yes, thanks for having me.
It's quite a weekend, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday special to wrap up the 2020 season at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. $2,000 to win Thursday, $4,000 to win Friday, $10,000 to win Saturday. So a lot of money on the line, and you get to come into this show as the defending champion since you were the 2019 champion of the Modified Nationals. Does that give you any advantage over anybody else? I think the last time I looked at the driver lineup, there's about 80 of you B-Mod racers ready to hit the track for their chance to gather in some coin. Is past success any indicator of potential future success in an event like this?
You know, honestly, the biggest thing I think that it helps me is just my calmness. You know, I've been doing this a little while now, and I kind of got these big races down where if I can keep my calm to the end, I usually can prevail to a pretty good finish.
And not only is this an event that you've won before, but obviously this is at one of your home tracks. You compete at Mississippi Thunder Speedway every Friday night that the green flag flies. You've had a trio of feature wins this year. You're a former track champion. Is that perhaps more of an indicator of potential success for you this weekend during this special event than simply being the past champion of this special event?
You know, I think a lot of my success has to do with being able to read the track. You know, it's definitely an advantage for these out-of-towners that are coming in. You know, I got to meet a lot of them over the years, racing down in Missouri and Iowa. You know, they'll kind of ask me what I think's going to happen and what the track's going to do. And being around it all year, you kind of get a pretty good idea of not even so much what the track's going to do, but maybe what Bob's going to do, just to see how he's going to prep the track to try to give it the best surface possible.
And not only do you need to be cognizant of the way that maybe Bob Tim and his track crew are preparing this track, but you also need to intimately know your own race car. And you are one of those drivers that's gone through a couple of changes over the past handful of seasons, trying many different things. Do you feel like your race team is now to the point exactly where you want it, or do you never get to that point? Are you always looking for one additional change that will help just a little bit more?
You know, we're always looking. You know, a lot of normal nights I'm trying stuff, just trying to get it the best that I can, because if you're not trying stuff, the guy next to you is gonna. So you got to try to be the best that you can at these big shows. You know, I have John Van Minsel helping me, and he's a former racer. He's a very, very smart guy. And between us, you know, we tend to have a lot of ideas that we want to try throughout the year. And being able to have something like that in my back pocket is been a benefit the last couple of years for me here.
You come into a special event like this, and you've had some success not only at the track but also at this special event. And in addition to that, you've also been a track champion at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. How do you rank those? And by that I mean regular weekly win, big money special event win, or track championship. Is there one that you as a driver, a competitor, desires more than any of the others?
You know, a lot of people get pretty excited about points, and I'm maybe not one of those. You know, consistency is great, but for me as a racer, bigger shows, big money, I mean, that's what it's all about. These things are so expensive to run that anytime I can chase for money and maybe come out with a little bit in my pocket, it's kind of what I aim for, you know, and it does take a lot to race for points. And for me, trying to get better all the time, like this year I have a new chassis, so, you know, we've been trying stuff all the time. It's hard to be consistent every week. And needless to say that it seems like I draw about 10 to 12 every night, so That doesn't make it any easier starting, that far back on an average weekly show. So it just kind of depends.
So you like these big money shows. Not only are they a necessity to have a successful racing organization, but do you ever feel like these special big money events put more pressure on you as a driver? Or coming into an event like this, do you put more pressure on yourself as a driver? Or are you able to block that out of your thought process and just attack it like it's another Friday night at the racetrack?
Prior to last year, we finished second or third for the last 4 years before that. And we were so close every year. And, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I know the equipment's good enough. And I know we were good enough. And it was just me making a few mistakes. And it just didn't come together. So last year kind of lifted some weight off my shoulders. And it is hard this year going in because everybody's looking at you thinking that you should be up there. But, it is hard. I mean, everyone's so good nowadays that you have to be on your A game. One little mistake, one little chassis setup that you adjust and it didn't pan out like you thought it was going to. I mean, that can be the difference between first and 10th.
So not only do you have to perform on a regular weekly event, not only do you have to perform at these big money events, but you also have to make sure that you're able to continue this love that you have for motorsports into the next season and for however long you want it. But battling week in and week out and even winning some of these big events is not possible without those who support you. You mentioned that you have former racer John Van Minsel in your corner. I know that I see your dad there all the time helping out. It's a family organization, but also you have a lot of businesses who support Walski Racing as well.
Yeah, I have Bobbers Incorporated, Jim Brink, he's actually my car owner. A huge supporter of me. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be out there. I have Russell Associates, Cars and Credit, Crown Auto Service, Scenic Landscaping, Weir's Machine, Winona Brother and Steel, and then, of course, MB Customs, and then BK Engines. And I gotta thank my mom and dad a lot, too, and my wife and kids, because the stuff they go through weekly just to let me do the things that I love, it can be hard on a family. So, you got to appreciate the people sometimes that are behind the scenes that don't get all the credit they deserve.
So this is it for the 2020 season, at least at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. How about the 95X? Will that see any more action following this weekend's Modified Nationals at Mississippi Thunder Speedway?
Yeah, we're planning on racing as much as we can. We're going to try to hit the Fall Jamboree. We're going to do some stuff in Iowa, and we usually go down to Missouri in mid-October. I'm planning on hitting every race I can. We got this new chassis this year, and we're still figuring it out, and I kind of need all the races I can get. So we're just going to keep chasing and see where it brings us.
So you get into a big event like this to wrap up at least the Mississippi Thunder Speedway season. How do you, as a driver, approach this? I mentioned earlier, I think we're up to, maybe even have surpassed the 80 entry mark. 80 drivers entering this BMOD division for a chance to take home some of the money. Do you look at that list and try to figure out who you have to battle, who you think you might be dueling with come the end of one of these big money features? Or do you not pay attention to that and just focus solely on what Shaun Walski can do?
Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of racers make the mistake of worrying about what everyone else is doing or who's there. I just go there. I use the knowledge I gain throughout the year and try to make my stuff the best. And just try to focus on being the best that I can. And sometimes it's enough, and sometimes it's not, but you kind of just got to be happy with whatever happens.
2020 has been a wild and crazy season, but even with all that in the books, have you at all had a chance to start thinking about 2021? I mean, I know that feels and it sounds like it's a whole nother world away, but have you started planning, thinking, organizing at all for next year?
Oh, I'm always thinking about next season, whether I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I've been talking with Jimmy and AJ a lot at MB Customs about stuff that I wanted to try or do for next year. We got some stuff up our sleeve we're going to try. May make it better, may not. But as of right now, I'm going to stick with what we got, and we're just going to keep pounding out the normal shows that we usually go to and see what happens.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this week, the 9th annual Modified Nationals presented by Dahl at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Shaun Walski, the defending 2019 champion of the Modified Nationals. Whether you're listening to this program on Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, or Friday morning, he may or may not have won any races yet, or he may be preparing to sweep all three of them. But in order for you to find out, you've got to visit Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Again, it's the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3-day special event at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, the 9th Annual Modified Nationals. Shaun Walski, thank you very much for joining us on this, the final edition of Thunder Talk for the 2020 season and for the events that haven't happened yet. Best of luck to you in the remainder of 2020.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
That was Thunder Talk, keeping you up to date on everything going on at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
You ever notice that when you're on a fishing trip, you drive your boat all the way to the other side of the lake because you think that's where the best fishing is? And the people staying at the cabins on that side of the lake, well, they come and fish where your cabin is. You don't have to drive a long ways to catch the big fish. And at Arcadia Motors, you don't have to drive a long ways to get the best deal on a new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram truck. The best deals are right in the bay next to your cabin. Take the short, scenic drive to Arcadia Motors. ArcadiaDodge.com.